love how this season of Bleach is basically just reverse Uno after reverse Uno. You think you have the upper hand? Actually, here's my trump card. And everyone just keeps pulling the rug from under everyone's feet. But the idea of having Bankai back on the menu, boys, was pretty exciting to see. The whole idea of almost like hollifying your Bankai as like an act of poisoning for the Quincy's and everything is pretty genius, and we get some amazing fights. We get to see some amazing Bankai maneuvers. Shinji versus Bambi was absolutely fantastic with the visual directing. Honestly, some of the trippiest visuals I've seen in some time. The OST went in way harder than I was expecting. But I think my favorite part is that with the end of the world approaching as they claim, the fact that the Quincy King could just pop up and say, you would have been better off without having your Bankai back because now you're even more screwed. Every time you think we finally get the jump on someone or it's all over for someone, it just keeps going back and forth, and that's what makes this core and this season of Bleach just so exciting. Now, full live reaction to today's wonderful episode 16 we're at now. It's kind of crazy to think we're that deep already, but my full live reaction is available on my Patreon if you would like to see my full uncut thoughts as I watch today's incredibly engaging episodes over there if you're interested. I mean, on one hand, we still have a lot to go because we still have another 2 more cores after this one finishes up, and we're still early, but it feels like we've experienced so much in such a short amount of time. But all things considered, 16 episodes is nothing to scoff at. We've been here for a bit, but I like the fact that it actually feels like the end of the world. Like, it's not just because when you look around their city, at that point, can you even rebuild? Like, no, like you probably have to tear everything down and start from scratch. It's the fact that it just feels like payoff after payoff after payoff. And I think the thing I want to start with is hands down Shinji versus Bambi, man, because that was incredible. There was a couple of moments in this episode where the art direction just shifted and I was like, please go back to that. That was just so wicked. That was so different than anything we've seen. But it's just awesome seeing someone just kind of chill, just swinging their little keyblade around, being like, oh, what's going on, bro? Oh yeah, left is now right, right is now left. And then the way they shifted both the voice as well as the subs on screen. I love the fact that the words go backwards on the screen. You can't really tell what's being said. The weird snake head, like, I don't know what the hell we were seeing half the time, and for such a short moment, it just immediately was like, okay, this is some of the coolest things we've seen so far with this return of Bleach, including Core 1, and it feels like it's not slowing down. It really isn't, and I love the fact that they just make you say, oh, it's game over for so-and-so, and then it's like, oh, next episode, half the time it's 2 minutes later, and actually it's Shinji screwed now. We don't really know. And I think one of my favorite examples is BG9. BG9 last week was like bringing a minigun in Dr. Octopus arms to a sword fight, right? It felt like cheating. This episode comes around and Jesus Christ, they literally pull out a rocket launcher that honestly, that felt like a mini nuclear bomb, and the aftermath of what was left of BG9, I mean, was just, it's insane, right? It feels like at a moment's notice, anyone can be exploded. Anyone can be absolutely dead. Look at our boy who got he became Jesus Christ and was thrown into an icicle crucifix. I mean, if you compare last episode or even a lot of the start of this episode, you wouldn't be thinking he'd be the one who'd be on death's doorstep. But that's the brilliance of this kind of end of the world. You can't announce that the end of the world's coming and not make it feel like, yeah, absolutely. The previous core, you know, our boy Ichigo comes in and, you know, they have to retreat, or at the very least, everything kind of gets pushed back, and, you know, we buy us some time. It doesn't feel like we can do that anymore. It feels like the end of the world is here, and it ain't gonna slow down until one side is actually victorious. And I think the way they explain the idea of returning Bankai back and almost acting like a poison through holification is really intelligent. The idea of being able to take your medicine just by simple touch is honestly pretty amazing, because you have to imagine something that can do that probably doesn't taste that great. It's not coming in strawberry or citrus flavors, right? So the idea of just touching it and absorbing it and then watching, just almost immediately feeling like, okay, the W is within reach now. Like, our boy is just standing there. He's got the wing shield of just unbreakable death. He can't even get through that. And we just see over the course of it just feeling like, okay, we're getting closer and closer. But of course, if this was the end of a second core and we knew the arc was coming to an end, sure, this could feel like an actual W. But the idea of just watching and going from, wow, we literally leave last week feeling like everyone's about to die or they already are dead, to then ending this episode feeling like the heroes are about to be victorious, only for an explosion of light coming from all these members, and the fact that old Quincy King can say, you would have been better off without doing this shit. I'm like, why? Like, if this isn't gonna work, what the hell will work? And it probably has to relate to Ichigo. I mean, we keep getting a little bits of visions or what he's doing in his training, so basically it's like a Super Mario 64 situation. Right now, Ichigo is trying to go up the staircase in Super Mario 64 before he has the right number of stars, and it's an endless staircase. Right now, though, it does seem like he's getting closer than he was in the previous episode, and there's a couple of times we see this vision. It's like probably 12 images or so, and a couple of them are quite interesting. Like one, you see like pulling out a sword from like a puddle of water or something, a very interesting design. A lot of uncertainty, but it's going to be interesting to see what he'll look like when he comes out of this like training and vision sequence, and what that will mean in terms of flipping the tables on, well, the Quincy King and everyone like that. Either way though, this was very exciting. Definitely one of, I would say, if we're just comparing this core anyway, probably my favorite produced, just because there was a lot of shifts in art direction, a lot of clean animation, just the fact that you start this episode off with pretty much like 4 characters pretty much having a gun to their head, more or less. And then very quickly we see characters like BG9 get exploded like they're nothing. And we're like, yeah, we got this, to them being like, wait a second. This is only episode 16, man. We got 4 cores of 13 episodes each, 52 episodes of this bad boy. It ain't even close to being over, is it? I mean, I just think this is a very fun season to watch. The OST goes in hard. I honestly think it's going to be hard to top this current opening of Bleach, because while I know we will still have 2 more openings with cores 3 and 4, for me, there is something about this opening that just, it hits with me. The visual directing is fantastic. They have a really good emphasis put on the bass lines in the opening. It just feels like a great opening that, for me personally, will be hard to top. But it's not even just the opening. It's just the music throughout, like the different themes that they'll give, whether for Shinji or whether for any of these characters. The music almost goes in as hard and sometimes harder than half the time the animation does for these attacks. And that's not to say like the animation or art design is like lackluster. That just really is a compliment to the amazing OST direction. But either way, I mean, it's Whiplash, man. You think, okay, enemy's gonna win. Nope, hero's gonna win. Nope, enemy's gonna win. Hero's gonna win. I really don't know. I don't think there's any retreats on the horizon. Maybe they'll surprise me and we'll get to regroup again, but I doubt it. It just feels like insanity after insanity, and that's kind of the brilliance. And I think anyone who's been waiting years upon years to see Bleach return, I had it nice. I read the manga up to this latest arc in anticipation for the new anime, so I didn't have that long of a wait. I had like a month wait. Can only begin to imagine people waiting a decade probably to see half this stuff animated, but it's brilliant to see because you can tell they're cooking, they're putting their passion and heart on here, and it really comes out through the quality. Now let me know what you thought of this wonderful Bleach episode down below. What did you think of all the amazing fight scenes, your favorite? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Bleach to the channel. Like I mentioned, full live reaction. Today's wonderful 1000-year Blood War episode is available on my Patreon, and hey, while you're there, you can also get a video shout out. So today we have Fernando, Gangster Brad, Luke, and Mai. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.